Hello and welcome to Arts and Wellness Wednesdays. I think I'm going to change the Wednesdays and just put Arts and Wellness. What do you think? Because sometimes I don't get to post it on a Wednesday, there's just so much happening. Anyway, so welcome to the studio. Welcome to today. If you are here for the first time, my name's Amanda. I'm a mixed media artist and I love talking about the way in which arts and creativity can impact on our health and well-being. And so every Wednesdays I just have a little chat. And what I've been doing, last week I showed you, I shared beginnings of an art journal page and how to start. And so this week, actually what I was going to do was to continue on with that page and just show you how I would develop it. Now I have a variety of different videos on my channel which show you how to do backgrounds, how I create a face, and if you've got any questions about any of those, please do leave it in the comments and I will get back to you. If there's other things that you weren't quite sure of and you kind of just want more clarification, again, leave the comments below, and if I can share another video to show you how you can extend in what you're doing, then I will. So, how have you been feeling? Again, I ask this question. We have to keep asking ourselves how we are. How are you? How are you getting on? How are you managing to cope in this situation? This week, which I didn't realise last week, is Mental Health Awareness Week. So we're going to continue on that vein of looking at how the art and creativity can impact on your health and well-being and your mental health. We have to, especially in this time, think about ways in which we can share what we're going through with people who are sensitive to maybe our needs or understand where we're coming from. You can't just share with anybody. This one has been trying to get up. I've created a little fort around me because he sits right behind my chair, and you know, like, you want to turn, swivel. I've got a swivel chair, so you want to turn, and I want to get to the other table, and he's there, just sitting there. Anyway, I'm not moaning about it, because even in having him in the studio, he's good company, and he's like, when I'm chatting or like working through something, he's like sitting there looking like, and so just talking at him is good. Anyway, so let's think about how you are. What kind of systems have you been putting in place to enable you to express the things that you may be feeling? I was listening to this guy he was talking about being homeless, and he had managed to find a place, and he was talking about how he felt, you know, you're dealing with lockdown, and then where he is in the States, they've started to ease it. But as he's going out, he's coming across people who are not wearing masks, because you get so used to like wearing a mask in public that when you see somebody not wearing a mask, you think, oh, you know, let me just keep my distance. And he was saying that, you know, now they've not got, you know, such strict lockdown rules anymore. He's feeling like he doesn't want to go out. It's just like, I don't want to go out and mix with people. I just want to slightly stay in your little bubble. And I can relate to that, because it was such a, you know, forgive me, but I think we have to, again, articulate, whether it's verbally or using our creativity to articulate what we're going through. And one of the exercises that I will be doing today will touch on that. But yeah, I was feeling this similar kind of thing. It was just like, it was such a shock being told you can't go out, then you get used to not going out, and it's almost like you're scurrying out on your days, which today's one of our days. You're scurrying out on your days to go and get your provisions and scurrying back, and there's no kind of, and because of the nature of where you can go, because everything else is shut, you can't even go like window shopping or wandering around the aisles. And I was saying to my sister how recently this week, how that I didn't realise that the wandering around the aisles was in one respect comforting. And when you couldn't do it, because, you know, normally you'd be looking for things and you'd think, okay, let me just go down here because there may be something that, I mean, I'm not always really a list person. So, you know, I might see something that I forgot that I needed, or, you know, that looks interesting, let me try it. And that's really how, you know, I've been trying so many different art products over the years. I've thought, oh, let me try that, and found that I've really liked it. So I value the, maybe I'm not looking for it specifically, but I come across it and, you know, it might be on offer, or, you know, it fits in with something I may have been thinking about or working through or wanting to incorporate in my work. So that was a really not valuable thing for me, but I found it, it was something that I did, and especially going into art shops and kind of picking up the things and, oh, you know, oh, and oh, I wonder how I could use that. So that was, yeah, all the art shops were shut. So a lot of the stores now are becoming, you know, more and more are becoming open. But it's like, you know, that feeling of, well, no, you know, it's just like I couldn't go. And you got used to not going. You got used to just going out for the necessities and coming back in, and, you know, I'm pretty much self-sufficient in my studio. Although, what I want to do is install a toilet and a sink in here, then I would really be self-sufficient. But just in terms of the studio, having to carry water and put it in bottles and things like that for now, and then when I want to change, you know, obviously change the water, it's not a whole rigmarole, but having a sink in here would make it a lot easier. And then when I'm doing lessons or classes or whatever, you know, there's rhyme and reason to the plan. Anyway, yeah, so I'm pretty much self-sufficient. So it was just like, well, I don't need any art supplies. I don't need to... the only thing I might need, actually, is a new computer. So I'm putting that there on the table. My computer's been playing up, and now, anyway, I won't go into it. That's for a different kind of video. So arts and creativity. Now, I would just speak of visual arts, but obviously when we talk about the arts, we know that, you know, dance, music, what else? Movement, there's so many other things you can think of. So when you think of the arts, theatre arts, etc., etc. So in terms of visual arts, what I do want to show you is ways in which you can, using your art journal, find ways to express yourself in your art journal using imagery, colour, and the words you may find in a, you know, in a magazine, or looking at different textures. So I might use the weaving, which is, it's the way I approach, no, it's not just the way I approach it. With weaving, you have to take your time. And then you could vary it depending on the materials you're using. So I've been combining, say, the bark from a tree in one of my weavings. I did. Will I show you? Anyway, so it's there somewhere on that table full of other things connected to weaving and stitching. But where I would say do a collage, and it's like laying down colour, paper, it's laying down paper, different types of paper, different textures. With the weaving now, it's okay, I'm utilising the threads, but it's a slow process. So even within the arts, for me, there's different materials I can use that will give me a different feel, a different experience, and will enable me to either, what I need is to just slow down and be you know, methodical, or it's getting the glue down and ripping the paper and applying the paper here and then gluing on top and allowing that layer of process to kind of, you know, help me feel a particular way or help me express a particular thing. Or again, it might be if I get the paints and I'll use like you know, the cards you can get, old credit cards or whatever, and on my palette I might have splashes of colour. And actually, look, why don't I just, you know, I'm telling you about these things, let me just give you some examples. So for this week I want you to really think about ways in which you can express yourself with art materials. If you don't have any art materials, I'll show you an example of what you can do, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So yeah, let's get on. What else did I want to share with you? Go to my Arts in Health network, and I will be updating it with some information on the arts that are taking place online that you may be able to tap into. And again, you know, look through some of my arts and art journal, art pages. I make art journals, I do some of the pages, you know, do the pages as well, and you may find something that kind of resonates with you that you can kind of take forward yourself. So let us get on. We're going to look at an art journal page, we're going to look at different things that you can do just briefly, and then you can take it forward. And I will be doing additional videos which will talk to some of the things I've mentioned here. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, so let us look and see what we've got here. So this is an old catalogue that I got from my then local Tesco's, and basically this is something that you can use to create your own journals, your own art journals, and work through them. So I've got yeah, quite a few videos, I'll try and link to them, where I've shown you how I've repurposed journals, and I am going to be talking and sharing more of my art journals. And if you look at the 31 art journals on here, you'll be able to see, yeah, a variety of journals. Now I've got more than 31, so yeah, there's a whole variety. So this is something that I wanted to show you can do. So all I've done with this, what I've done is I've gone through and I've ripped out like 2 pages, like I've ripped out pages, and then what I've done is I've stuck, say, either 2 pages together or 3 pages. The other thing I did with this was, as I stuck the pages together, I've utilised masking tape at the end, not utilised, I've added masking tape at the end, so that, you know, when you're going to turn the pages, you're not accidentally separating a page that's been stuck together. So one of the things that you can do is play around with this. If you haven't got any supplies or materials at all to hand, then this is something you can do. Don't get a an old catalogue, and a lot of the stores have them, so you've got a variety. The paper that they use is quite nice. It's quite thick as well, fairly thick. It's let me think, I think it's slightly thicker than printer paper. Anyway, so these are the pages that I've taken out. And one of the things that you can do is go through this and look and see any images that you may find interesting, or you know, words that are encouraging, that speak to you. So some of the images can be very small, and you can utilize them when you're doing collage. See, if you look at even some of these patterns, they're quite pretty, but using them in a collage, some of the shapes you can use. So that's something that you can do in a collage. And what I often do is, you know, I then cut them out and I put them aside. So one of the things that you can do with this, then we'll just put that there, and I'll show you some of these, is then create things, cards and collages that speak to you. And maybe, you know, maybe you haven't yet decided what the meaning is, but you feel like putting together, you know, a series of different images. So here's all the images I've cut out. I've cut out faces, I've cut out eyes, I've cut out shapes, I've cut out textures, fabrics. So here, just fabrics that kind of spoke to me. I've cut out words as well. There's a door here, just found that interesting. So that, you know, they then begin to be part of a story that may yet to be told. So as I said, one of the things that I do with these, and I haven't done it for a while, so these are ones that I had worked on before, is to create mini stories that I can either build on, let's come in a bit, I can build on them, I can, you know, it might be something that there's a story to it, or there's something that I want to express that I haven't yet expressed. So as I say, these were done quite a while ago, and what this says is, walking on ice, the dragonfly beast answers. So I'm not sure what I was thinking then to then create this, but I'm going to be working through some of them and just looking at what they mean to me now. So I just created, and these are just on cards, and I just got some images and I put them together. And as I say, maybe it can form a story or something that you might want to address with your own, you know, with the things that you may be going through. This one says, there's the word dwell, replenish. You just got different images, different emotions going on here. And this is a musical note that says, by the rivers. There's that song, By the Rivers of Babylon. You know, so the images that you put together, you may not necessarily have you might not necessarily have the words to express what they mean, but they do mean something. Yeah, so what I want you to do is maybe just, you know, gather some images that speak to you and put them together on a card. See, this is just, yeah, it was on a newsletter, and I've just cut out the card. This says a wild secret, free spirit. You've got a lady in a little tutu here. There's a butterfly, a bee, a clock, two butterflies, an eye on a box, and so yeah. So that's something that you can do, and you really don't need any supplies. All you need is, you know, some glue, some old magazines or newspapers. So again, utilize the things that you've got. So in the first page of this book, I just did this today, and it was just a collage. I just had some loose papers, all these papers, and I thought to myself, they're just sitting there, let me put them on a page, and this can form you know, a page that I might want to work on. It's very bright, very vivid, and this actually, the papers that are here are ones that I had got, it was like a it was a magazine, and they every week I used to get this magazine on a weekly basis, and they would give away free like A4 size papers, and I've still got loads of them that I thought, you know, again, just utilize it in an art journal page. Why not? So that's something that you can do. Again, look around, see what you've got, and utilize them. You may have cut out some of the papers or the coloured patterns, and you can use those to start off an art journal page. And again, for me, this is, I've applied also red and gold paint, so that's the second layer. There's 2 layers here so far. So with some of the loose papers, you can also make background papers. So I've just taken very loosely, you know, these 2 colours and put them on a few of the sheets. And what I would do then is, you know, take the paper, rip it up, and it might then be placed on a page that I'm working on. You can, you know, I've created a lattice, kind of a woven thing here, and what you can do is, you know, paint the papers, paint the sheets of paper, and then do a similar sort of thing, and then you've got a pattern, or you can do it on a small scale, and that could then be added and form the basis of an art journal page. And I did a bigger lattice here. The other thing I did was to cut up one of the pages and create a collage of some of the, just the papers really. There's no kind of, I didn't go through, I didn't get any specific images. It was just like, I just want this page to be different. I can then utilize this, I can tear this up and use it in the journal page, in the art journal, and create something that I'm trying to find the words to express, but the images are what's speaking to me. So a couple of other things that you can do, just a couple of other things. I've taken these it's again just plain so far. So what this is wax paper, and I'd shared images of the wax paper. I had utilised it when, that word, is that the new word, utilised? When I was doing some batik, I got the greaseproof paper, put it on and ironed off the wax, and it left colours. So there are some colours here that the wax left, and then I got threads that like offcuts of the threads. Let me show you. So when I'm doing some of the stitching, the ends I just put in here, and then I often use these in a project. So this is what I did with this. So I put ends of threads in and sandwiched it between the wax paper, the paper that had wax on, and then I stitched it with burlap. And so I'm thinking, oh, you know, I could use this as a texture. I thought, let me see what it would be like if I painted it. So this is one that has been stitched and painted, and you know, I might go over and add some additional things to it. And these are just small things that you can do that enable you to express yourself through art and creativity. I got some tea lights. If you want to see some of the tutorials in how to do this, I will definitely show you. So I've got some, so leave your comments leave your comments and let me know. So tea lights. So what I normally do with the tea lights is, rather than, what would normally happen is once you've used the tea light, you throw this away. So all I do is remove this bit from the tea light. So that's the bottom of the tea light with the wick. And I get a new one, take it out and put it in the old one that has been used. And so I've now got this new piece of metal that I can work with. So all I've done with this is cut some of them out, and they're going to be, you know, I can add them to projects. So there are a few things that you can do, and it is about, again, expression. So let's take a closer look at these tea lights. So I say expression because, you know, again, I've done some embossing on the metal. The metal's very fine, and you can create different shapes and patterns, and that's again like a meditative kind of piece of work. You have to slow down. You have to, like, you know, I'm cutting out the tea light and then I'm flattening it, and then I'm actually, you know, putting some of the patterns in. And so again, you have to slow down. Again, you have to be mindful about what you're doing. Again, it allows you just to, you know, slow down your thoughts, take your time, and to relax, and to be, you know, to take away some of the stress that you may be feeling at the particular moment. And we can feel it in ways and not necessarily be able to articulate what and why we're feeling those ways. So I just wanted to share with you, you know, some ways in terms of your journaling that you can, or using an art journal, that you can express yourself. And this was the one that I worked on last week. And what I might do is actually then think about how I'm feeling now and write down, you know, if it's only like, you know, one word, kind of the way that I'm feeling, I can do that. So that's then an additional layer, because if you looked at last week's video, I added, you know, a layer with, I put down the pastels, and then I added gesso, and then I added a few more pastels, then I added words, some positive words, and now I could think about how these words that I've written down, how I can interpret it into the way I'm feeling now. So love, joy, passion, hope, love, loving yourself, spending time with yourself, nurturing yourself, being unconditional, showing yourself unconditional love. And sometimes we can forget to do that, and think about the words that you're speaking to yourself. You know, those things are important as well. So there's some things that you can be getting on with, and you can maybe think about how you approach it. You know, again, this is, you got a budget. If you've got a tight budget, I've just shown you ways in which you can recycle and reuse things to then enable you to do a creative project very easily. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it there. Again, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell if you want to see more things, more ways in which, you know, you can use creativity. I'd love to take you on that journey with me. Okay, so take care, stay blessed, and be a blessing.